Hi, welcome to Brand Sheets. I'm Leslie. Today we're going to talk about Kitchenaid Stand Mixers. So basically, you see this on every single wedding registry that ever exists because they're kind of a status symbol. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't use them or don't know how to use them, and they just kind of end up sitting on the corner of your counter collecting dust. So let's go over some basics about the Kitchenaid Stand Mixer. A good friend of mine emailed me a lot of questions about the Kitchenaid Stand Mixer. She has one. She doesn't really know how to use it very well, so I'm gonna answer her questions. Fair warning, she has peppered her questions with a lot of expletives, and I am going to substitute those with other words. First question, there are 3 tools. What the pepper are each for? How do I clean them? Are there do's and don'ts for using them? I think they're metal. Weird. So let's talk about the tools. First of all, they're not called tools. They're called attachments. And yes, you're right, they are metal. These, however, are coated with some sort of stain-resistant, I'm guessing maybe enamel paint. I'm not really sure. Don't quote me on this. This one is metal. This is a dough hook. So when you're kneading bread, put it in this, use the dough hook, and the dough hook kneads it for you. That's really the only use for this. However, it is clutch if you maybe don't have full use of your hands and you still want to make bread, or you just don't love kneading bread. It works pretty well. You really need to have your ingredients like pre-incorporated. So like don't use this to mix the ingredients and then knead it. Like mix all your ingredients, make sure they're decently incorporated, and then plop it in here and use the bread hook or dough hook. This is the paddle attachment. This is your workhorse. This is your everyday bad boy. Cake mix, shredding cooked meat, not raw meat, cooked. That's it. This is the whisk attachment. This thing is great. It is also your workhorse. You can beat egg whites if you're making meringues or any sort of recipe that calls for fluffy egg whites that need to be folded into a mixture. That's what this guy's for. So how do you clean them? So unfortunately, I didn't know that this guy doesn't go in the dishwasher. See what it does? I've messed up this piece. So it kind of creates this like carbony dust on my hands, which is gross and not great. So don't put it in the dishwasher, hand wash this one. These other 2 are perfectly fine to go in the dishwasher. Also comes with a spatula. I feel like this is pretty self-explanatory. Right? You guys are with me. Next question. Does this thing serve a purpose? Or is it just to catch dust? That's what mine does. You know what? Mine does as well. I don't use it very often. I think I've used it once, but here's what it does. It acts as two kind of helpful tools. You attach it to your bowl, like so, very easy, and it acts as a splatter guard. So when you're mixing things like flour into your mixture or powdered sugar, if you're making a meringue or a whipped cream, it protects it from flying out all over the place. But then the question is, wait, how do I get the flour or sugar in? That's where this little part comes in handy. This is what I like to call the slide. So you can slide your ingredient down into this and it prevents it from puffing up. Next question. Different speeds. Do they have specific purposes? Well, yes, they do. Low. High. That's really it. Say you have a recipe that says beat on medium speed for 2 minutes until flour disappears. Say like a brownie or a chocolate cake recipe. Your medium speed is a 6 because it goes from 0 off to 10. I guess that's not really medium, it's like in between there, but I typically don't go high on it, but say you need to really incorporate a lot of air into a mixture, that's your 10. Another thing to keep in mind is maybe don't use the 10 when you're using the dough hook if you're using a very stiff dough, because you can burn out the motor on these guys, and as you all know, they're not cheap. You don't want to burn the motor out. Next question. There are no pepper measurements on the bowl. Am I missing something? Yeah, you're not. You're not missing anything, except that this is just a bowl. This is not meant to measure ingredients. This is not meant to be precise in any sort of way. This is literally just a mixing bowl. So any recipe that you're using, you're gonna wanna pre-measure everything before you add it to your bowl. Next question. What is this and what is its purpose? So you might have seen in the stores that there are attachments that you can buy for your stand mixer, like a pasta roller or a meat grinder. That's where this comes into play. This knob comes out, it unscrews, and this comes off. And then inside there is a little square nozzle that is gonna fit the attachments in. So basically, the motor inside of this will also turn whatever is attached to this inside of here. So it's a little greasy because it needs to stay lubricated to work properly. Otherwise, you're gonna grind your gears. If you don't have any of the attachments, you don't need to worry about this little guy. But if you do, that's where they attach. Last question. How do I clean this pepper? It's pretty simple to clean. As soon as you finish cooking anything with it, just wipe it down with a wet cloth. If you're using things that are prone to foodborne illness like raw meat or even eggs, a wet soapy rag is fine. Rinse it. Either way, dry it off immediately. And you don't really need to scrub it or anything. If it does get a little sticky, just kind of work it a little bit. Microfiber cloth works great. You're not gonna scratch the surface. Do not, I repeat, do not use a steel wool or anything abrasive on this, or you will ruin your beautiful enameled surface. So that is the basics of the Kitchenaid Stand Mixer. Do you feel confident in using it now? Do you know a little bit more? Maybe we should beat something.